My friends, welcome. This is Archangel. Males are devalued in our world, and you know why? Because of males. Blokes are the problem. Males are the enablers who pamper, coddle, and worship females while they simultaneously boast and take pride in being doormats and shovels for females. Males, especially those who enforce disposability, males are the problem. Oh yes, the enemy of male worth is conspicuous. It is males. Females are merely an annoyance who would have no power at all were it not for males physically enforcing their elevation. Females and their narcissistic, misandristic princess attitudes would be as impotent as a toothless, declawed tiger if males refused to endure devaluation or impose it on other males. Males allow their own devaluation and disposal. Modern fathers are a curious combination of caring and disposal enabling. Fathers are used and blamed for everything, and fathers themselves are disposable as males, for one, and for two, they are the expendable half of the parental head. Males are made to give up their dreams and squeezed for provision to support the mouths that depend on them. Yet, even with all the depreciation that fathers endure, they actively continue the cycle of male abuse. I am equal opportunity here. Just as I have called out gynocentrism hiding within motherhood, I must especially call it out when it hides in dad. After much contemplation, I observe fathers to be complicit in or actively indoctrinating male youth with devaluation and disposal programming, thus continuing this bigotry into the future. Understand that we fail boys with simpering, validation-dependent, love-bug-addicted fathers who fail to protect our sons from mother's misandry and emasculation and society's predation upon their worth and utility providership. We negligently damage boys with white knight fathers who indoctrinate boys with chivalry, cheeseball doormat fathers who train their sons to be validation-addicted tools, telling these tender boys that their purpose is to sacrifice and be the bigger person in the face of female trespass in order to make the world continue turning. Boys are violated when they are brainwashed with propaganda that their reason for being is to service females with utility and assume female bodyguard duty for the rest of their lives. We indoctrinate and scar boys with fathers who bow to male depreciation and suck up the mockery and contempt that mom throws dad's way. Children have very keen senses. Kids observe mothers abuse fathers, and the father is the one who submits. Fathers are the ones who give in, who kowtow and compromise with mothers for the good of the kids. Sure, there are a handful of deadbeats who simply take off and abandon a son to a fatherless existence, more importantly, abandoning their sons to mom's misandry and emasculation as she trains him to be the utility his father proved unwilling to be or insufficient at. It is such fathers as these that enable male devaluation to continue on into the future. Moreover, too many fathers will pamper and coddle their daughters over their sons, and males get to see all this deflation of themselves and their sex as they grow, all of which kills the limitless titan within them a little more every day. Out of every father I have ever observed, the overwhelming majority have trained their sons to be utilities to females and the gynocentric society that thrives off of male toil and sacrifice. Fathers may indeed love their sons and devalue them unwittingly, yet we still arrive at the same destination where male worth is squashed no matter what justification is invoked. This is why we need awakened fathers to raise sons. This is one potent vector in which male empowerment and liberation will gain traction into the future, by fathers breaking the chain of abuse and discontinuing the male devaluation propaganda that we indoctrinate future generations with. So, I have a few silly, ignorant, audacious statements to lay down. First, in relation to boys. Nobody should be allowed to cut any male genitalia at all, period. Next, females in today's gynocentric, misandristic, male devaluing environment of female entitlement, elevation, and worship should not raise boys much past 4 or 5. Moms should not be raising children solely into adulthood. Mothers birth, feed, and nurture infants. Males temper children into adults. More often than not, moms inadvertently resent their male offspring because they are male, and moms pass along this misandristic chip on their shoulder to their daughters, which turns out the next generation of haughty, exalted princess angels. Many mothers do harm to boys, albeit unknowingly. However, despite intent, male devaluation merely continues onward, since mothers are gynocentric propaganda machines to all offspring. I have always had this nagging feeling that mothers should not be raising boys. Yet I have always bit my tongue and squashed this crazy thought, lest I be accused of misogyny, ostracized, and hung from the nearest tree for daring to besmirch the holiest office in the land, motherhood. But females, even if they love their sons, inevitably teach or compel them to be depreciated doormats and chivalrous tools. Females cannot teach male empowerment and sovereignty. They only teach male subservience and utility, or shame males into service because, well, she carried you for 9 whole months, so you are pretty much indebted to her for life. Now shut up and provide utility, man-ape. I am not saying that mothers do not love children or care about male progeny. However, I do recognize mothers as being offspring-equipped females, and females, like it or not, are self-interested in gender-preferenced gynocentrists. Hence, even if her mistreatment of a son is wholly unintentional, it still is not conducive to his welfare. However, when all is boiled down to nuts and bolts, the buck stops at fathers. They can be much more detrimental to boys by bonding them to gynocentrism-induced devaluation and disposability. Fathers that are manginas, white knights, or simpering male feminists are worse than mothers because they enforce male devaluation by beating chivalrous doormat utility behaviors into boys and then releasing them to fend for themselves in a world that is eager to squeeze the juice out of them, then throw them away, while simultaneously the same father is protecting his little sister against all ambient harm or toil. I think that perhaps traditional tribe scenarios may have had benefit, where elder males taught boys, as the biological fathers may be too young in life experience or still be shovels themselves, and thus not a good role model, whereas an elder male, the wise males, they can impart quality to boys and girls. I have observed for my entire life the manifestations of gynocentrism in fathers. You can't help but see the obvious, how males pander to females. Males will act like doormats for attractive females and play white knight for mothers or elderly females, and will generously pamper and coddle most all female citizenry in accordance to their life purpose, a life purpose pounded into their head by a father figure, which is to provide utility to females and sacrifice for them. Even still, there is one frequently overlooked avenue of male utility providership, which is just as strong as the motherhood subjugation, and that would be daughter servitude. Yep, many males will be bigger white knights for their daughters, more so even than for their mothers, and this protection of young is understandable to certain degrees. Yet protective instincts are taken overboard everywhere I look, where fathers will coddle and pamper their daughters and encourage the princess attitude in their little highness because she is cute or funny. They will favor and coddle the daughter while enforcing chores or unfair duplicitous treatment onto her brother. I have come to observe that many fathers with daughters are bigger misandristic white knights than the rest of the general gynocentric male population. Many of these fathers are more subscribing to this slanderous stereotyping of the male sex than even the general public, especially when it comes to boys around their girls. They will train little Jimmy to be a tool and take care of his mother and sisters, and abandon him to the gynocentric societal meat grinder while he coddles Jimmy's little sister. I have heard more stories than I care to about how a boy was mistreated while his sister could do no wrong. Just as in the motherhood video, I will no doubt offend quite a few males here, but that can't be helped. My duty is to elucidate every crevice that male devaluation hides, and Fathers with Daughters is simply another stronghold of female elevation and exaltation. Now, obviously, not all fathers with daughters are as I describe. However, I find that fathers with daughters are some of the biggest haters of males out there. Every daughter-equipped male I have ever talked to will give themselves violent shivers as they contemplate the time when their little rainbow bright reaches her teen years and puberty, where suddenly all males are demons seeking to defile their little buttercup, and they will have to ward off the abrupt influx of young male assailants accosting their daughter. Fathers with teen daughters slander and stereotype males almost on par with, sometimes more than, feminists and the rest of a gynocentric male devaluing society. Oh, that's crazy! That makes no sense. However, the abused continuing abuse is actually quite common. Fathers are males who are devalued and marginalized, squeezed for utility, then discarded, who then turn right around and cast this contempt onto the next generation of males who they swear are frothing at the mouth to violate his sweet little angel, whose instincts for gynocentrism and hypergamy are blossoming right along with her developing pubescent body. Ironically, but not surprisingly, even awakened fathers will revert to the female elevation, male devaluation paradigm when it comes to female offspring, where males are violent, abusive deviants, and females are innocent, virtuous, fragile flower petals. Males with daughters are some of the biggest male slanderers out there, who besmirch their daughters' male contemporaries as hormone-engorged rapists, plunderers, and murderers whom they need to protect their innocent little angel against. Oh, you betcha, I'm talking loads of crazy smack now. But get this is rich. These fathers are male, and they sure don't like it when females, other people's daughters, treat them bad, or when feminists slander them because of their sex. Yet, when it comes to their little sweetie pie, they invoke the very same male devaluing, raping, murdering, plundering stereotypes to blanket and describe the rest of the male sex with. And now they have to protect little Muffin from the hordes of disgusting demon man-apes looking to ravage their daughter. Oh yes, males may readily see through all the BS and propaganda of the false rape numbers of college campuses. Yet when their little biscuit gets to college, suddenly those numbers are all true, and he frets about all the drunken males who want to put their filthy paws all over Buttercup's body and steal her innocence. Fathers as males will decry devaluation, yet males as fathers with daughters will subscribe to male devaluation and even push it onto others, including sons. Fathers with daughters are chameleon misandrists. They might object to being slandered by some anonymous female, somebody else's daughter, but they freely label and slander males when it comes to their own daughter. I have seen this duplicitous treatment of females by fathers all my life. These fathers are gynocentric enforcers, abusive to males and enabling to females. I care not what excuses one produces to justify this. 95% of the fathers with daughters that I have seen are misandrists who fail boys. For one, they promote the males are criminals and females are helpless flowers meme that pop culture uses to spread male devaluation. And B, they fail to protect their sons with this bigoted, duplicitous treatment of them. Oh, you can say, yeah, well, there are fathers that devalue and abuse their daughters. There are fathers that sell or trade away their daughters into slavery. Yes, you bet. This is reprehensible and wrong, and the modern politically correct citizen will condemn such cultures. Yet, how is abuse of daughters any different than abusing boys with devaluation, indoctrination, or forcing them to be servants, tools of utility compelled to serve the elevated class of uterine bearers? How is barter of daughters so much different from abandoning males to the modern institution of male slavery labeled as marriage? Furthermore, even abusive fathers who are inappropriate with their daughters, even these males hate the males that come around their daughters soliciting attention, because they see this as an insult. A marauding male trying to inject himself into this man's pride and steal from this father. Either way, males with female offspring harbor some degree of misandry, regardless of the reasoning invoked. Daughters compel male friction on an instinctual level. Females come between males, and this is yet another example where females compel males to besmirch and hate each other. Females are a wedge between male closeness and caring. You see, what is going on here is that daughters are another version of male's NAWALT or unicorn fantasy. I can't tell you how many fathers, even red pill fathers, how many have boasted about how much smarter, how much more talented, how much stronger their daughter is than the boys her age. Strip away all associations, and what is taking place here is simply a male elevating a female as better than a male. These fathers will agree that there is a lot of spoiled, pampered, cell phone addicted girls out there who are entitled brats that abuse and torment boys for entertainment. But they are someone else's child. Other people's daughters are gynocentric and hypergamous, but their little sugar plum is different. Funny how males will call out the unfamiliar females over their pampered, coddled, hypergamous, gynocentric selfishness, so long as it is someone else's daughter, or sister, or aunt, or mother. But when it comes to the females in any particular male's life, now it becomes, my daughter is different, my mom is special, my grandmother is not like that. Males elevate the females in their sphere as different from all the rest of the vulva possessors who are programmed with gynocentric hypergamous self-interest, who see males as merely tools for female enrichment and survival. I am not here to insult anyone's daughter. I am merely pointing out the duplicitous treatment. Oh yes, you bet, your little apple dumpling is different. Meanwhile, everybody else's daughter is succumbing to their hypergamy and entitlement, and ravaging male lives with their utility usurpation. Yeah, when it's someone else's daughter, we call out their disgusting bigotry. When it is our own daughters, we pretend that she is different, that she will reject her hypergamy, that she will not give in to being pampered or coddled by drooling man-beasts competing for her attention. That she really is better, stronger, faster, more valuable, and better smelling than males. Such fathers like to fancy that his female offspring will right wrongs and save the world, that she will not treat males ill and end up being talked about critically on the internet as being someone else's daughter, who, like the rest of her kind, has wreaked devastation upon males with her entitlement and elevation. Such fathers pretend that their daughter is different and will not impose pain or suffering on other males that somebody else's daughter has visited upon them throughout their lives. I understand that males viciously protect their own and will exalt their daughters as a part of this protection. I understand this. Yet, this is where the male devaluation of gynocentrism manifests, because I sure do not witness the opposite. Mothers bragging about how much smarter or more talented their son is than girls his age, or how much better or stronger he is than his female peers, because, of course, that would be sexist. Parents don't brag that their son is better than girls his age, but parents damn sure brag that their daughter is definitely better than boys her age. Parents may throw out general terms like, their son is advanced of boys, or kids his age, yet parents will specifically say that their little cream puff is better than boys her age. The distinction is always made that girls are better than boys. In other instances, when asked about a son, parents will instead brag about their son's state of gynocentric training. Parents will brag about the things males do. He is playing baseball. He is going out for football or acing his science classes. And his future plans will include being CEO of this or mayor of that, since males have to do to gain relevance, whereas females are relevant because they exist, with superior abilities. The daughter is simply smarter and better than boys her age, without having to do anything. Just ask her father. He'll tell you how much better she is than her male contemporaries. Some parents will say that their son is different, maybe even special, compared to other kids, yet they still have his indoctrination all set out for him. He won't rebel. He will behave. He'll get his Eagle Scout. He'll serve his country or his church. He'll make huge money and treat women like ladies. And he'll be a good provider. He will be a respectable shovel, unlike the unruly male youth of today. Moreover, fathers will invoke the males as protectors and providers paradigm in regards to their daughter, as they envision a rich, respectable, strong male to take over and care for their daughter. So, when it comes to males, fathers with daughters are looking to defame and use males just like everybody else. Fathers either slander males as delinquent rapists like the rest of society, or they will seek to invoke human wallet and bodyguard duty onto some good-hearted shovel to take care of his daughter. They desire to invoke subjugation on some male, the same chivalry and financial and emotional slavery that has mutilated their own worth. They desire to put this same abuse onto some anonymous male to care for their special different daughter, even though she is smarter than boys and independent and will reject pampering entitlement and will save the world. Yes, love your daughters, but see the hypocrisy. Fathers either slander males as demons that he needs to protect his angel from, or he seeks to thrust utility upon them and have them care for and protect his daughter, financially support her, and treat her with chivalry, never touch her even if she starts it. You know, all the supremacy entitlements that exalt females and degrade males in the first place. So how are these fathers different from ravenous feminist hordes who push the same slander and utility upon the male populace? Every father, especially awakened fathers, believe that their daughter is different, not like other females, nor her entitled mother. Well, gee, if we have a world full of special daughters that are removed from gynocentrism and entitlement that the rest of the female sex claims, then there would not be any female-born male suffering, right? So where did all the feminists and traditionalist vultures come from? Where did all these pampered coddled eaters come from? Where did all these entitled elevated females come from? Where did all the greedy gold diggers come from? Who is initiating 70 to 80% of the divorces and cleaning males out in the ensuing legal proceedings? We abuse and abandon boys to misery. We do not do this to our daughters. We slander boys as deviant walking erections and wholly ignore teen girls as the instigators of wrongdoing or trespasses onto males. We ignore the fact that they have carte blanche to do whatever they want to whoever they want, and they have the presumption of honesty and innocence on their side. Girls can pretty much do anything they want and get away with it, and even if they are caught, we look around for some boy to blame little Cookie's misdeeds on. We will bend over backwards to find a boy to blame a girl's actions on, while we will continue to pretend that females are purity and innocence. This is how I remember it from my younger days. Girls instigating mischief, doing what they wanted, and getting away with it. Yet all the anecdotal observation seems inconsequential, as every father I have ever come across who has a daughter repeats similar versions of the same sentiment. That they will not let their daughter out of the house until she turns 105, because they know how guys are and what they are all about. This is faulty, narrow-minded reasoning and projection. Lots of projection. Yes, perhaps there is recollection of how this father was when he was younger and what he and his buddies talked about, but not all boys act or behave the same, not even close. Again, males do not like being stereotyped and devalued because of their sex. But when males have female offspring, they absolutely embellish stereotypes upon other males as obnoxious, disrespectful jack-off machines that only live to violate girls. Some father will try and take the high road regarding their duplicity here and say, I'm not trying to slander males, it's just how it is. They are being overrun by hormones. Maybe it's not their fault, but I still need to protect my little cherry dumpling from these baboons that may not understand why they act as they do. Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night with hypocritical bigotry. But let me ask you a question. Do you think males are the only sex that becomes curious or hormonally driven as their bodies mature? Please, don't fool yourselves. Girls are just as hormone crazed and talk about or think about sex just as much as teenage boys. Moreover, the fact that females are developing earlier than males means that they have sex on their minds at far earlier ages, and every female I have ever had the occasion of asking what was foremost on her mind during adolescence, sex and boys is the #1 answer. Oh, well gee, I thought it was nasty disgusting boys that were sex obsessed, not our sugar and spice angels. In addition, times continually change. The way boys typically acted or behaved 20, 30, 40, even 10 years ago is not necessarily how the teenagers are acting today. Behavior is informed by environment, and environment is based in a continually changing culture. The more gynocentric and toxic it is becoming, the more males of all ages are withdrawing from female participation. Meaning that teen boys are not ravaging teen girls. They are instead playing video games while the girls complain that today's boys are weak because they aren't chivalrous white knights anymore and they don't have the balls to ask us out. Yet that females are also sex-crazed and peak earlier than boys, this small point of logic does not dissuade fathers who spasm and foam at the mouth whenever they contemplate males around their daughter. It's a witch hunt against males, and nobody can tell them any different. Males are the same. Males seek to corrupt and take advantage of women. Males victimize young girls. And these fathers know this for absolute fact, that males are vile defilers of feminine virtue. Thus, the little peckers had better not come anywhere near my daughter unless they wish to get another facial piercing, the size of a .45 slug between the eyes. Oh yes, I have had many a conversation with fathers, and they stereotype and demean the male sex as badly as any man-hating militant feminist. You cannot talk fairness or equity to them, nor do they see the duplicitous treatment between sons and daughters in this gynocentric culture. It's rather like trying to talk evolution to a fundamentalist Christian. It just ain't happening. I understand the parental protective impulse, but apparently it extends predominantly to females, while males are left to learn and fend for themselves. All this overprotection of daughters by fathers is the father projecting his own thoughts and desires onto the entirety of the male sex. Usually, he is the one obsessed with females and sex, and so, of course, that means every red-blooded male out there is the same way, especially teens. Ironically, the more militant they are about their daughter dating, the more they reveal how sexually crazed they themselves were and perhaps still are. Hence the emotionally charged overprotective response. One example of projection. I was talking to a guy one time who has a little girl and a little boy. After a bit, something prompted him to bring up the same old tired refrain. Guys are walking hard-ons. They only think about one thing. Guys are all dogs. They better stay away from my daughter or I'll kill 'em. Blah, blah, etc. blah. So I asked him, does that go for your son as well? When he hits his teen years, are you gonna kill all the females that come near him? Oh, hell no. He's gonna be a stud. He's gonna date twins, was this gentleman's reply. That says it all. The father is an unrepentant horn dog. I know this guy, and nearly everything he talks about is sexually charged or sexual innuendo, and he preens every time females walk by, even though he is married. And so, he was projecting his preoccupations onto the entirety of the male sex, and onto the potential suitors for his daughter, and onto his hopes for his son. It is not just fathers that buy into all this anti-male propaganda. Mothers and brothers can be just as protective of juvenile females and use projection as well. Perhaps the mother is a horn dog or banged all comers when she was a teen. Or perhaps in retrospect, she feels any number of regrets because she became sexually active too young, or she regrets her first time, or the guy it was with, and so she convinces herself that she was duped, a victim, taken advantage of by males, and so she feels compelled to protect her daughter from the same occurrences and violations. Perhaps brother is banging anything he can, or has been given directives by mom and dad to watch out for little sissy. Thus, everyone has reasons for projecting negative intentions onto the entirety of the male sex, and especially the potential dates of daughter or sister. Don't skew my message. Yes, absolutely. Protect your kids until they are mentally mature enough to make their own decisions. I'm not saying it's bad to be protective. I am saying the duplicitous treatment of females over males is wrong. We can speak about loving our sons as much as our daughters, but the pudding is lacking proof. Where is the equality? Where are the parents flipping their lids over teen girls around their son, the way they flip out around teen boys alone with their daughters? Meanwhile, no one seems to exhibit that fierce parental or sibling protective streak when it comes to males. I guess boys just have to learn to fend for themselves, right? Because the sooner they realize that the male existence is a sad experience of solitude and isolation, the better off they'll be to navigate this harsh world, right? The other day, a guy was frothing orally about how he's going to do all but Shanghai the teens that come around his daughter when she reaches driving age. So, of course, I inquired if the same held true for teen girls that came around his son when his son reached driving age. Nope. He switched gears and said that he would sit his own boy down and threaten his son about keeping it in his pants and treating and respecting the ladies. Okay, and I think this is quite ubiquitous. We always threaten and remain suspicious of males, whether it's our daughter's potential suitor or one's own son. We always find fault with the male, whether juvenile or adult. Yeah, are you people freaking kidding me with this duplicitous crap? Oh, and save it. I've heard the rebuttals. Oh, maybe the reason there is such a big deal made is because guys really are horn dogs that we need to protect females against. Or, you wouldn't understand, you're a guy. Or, you're not a parent. Or, you're in denial about the true nature of males, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, and maybe Long John Silver wanted to sell fried chicken rather than seafood, which, of course, has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. I have heard all the rebuttals, especially the "you're not a parent, you wouldn't understand," frequently used to discount and trump all unwelcomed advice from me, the non-offspring equipped citizenry. Well, guess what? I don't have to own a pit bull to know that dogfighting is unjust. I don't have to lose a friend or a family member to human trafficking to know that it is wrong. I don't have to own any rug in order to observe that the inside rug is treated better than the outside rug. Fathers, much like mothers, are epic harbingers of male devaluation. We need fathers that love boys, not fathers that are chameleon misandrists as soon as they get the news that it's a girl. There must be value equity across the board, or everything simply reverts to female elevation and male devaluation, which is the default setting of nature, of civilization, of existence. My brothers, help me to awaken other enslaved brethren and to awaken fathers to male devaluation. Stand with me, live free.